Hi, my name is Jordyn, or JRC the SLP, and thanks for pulling up on me today. Today we're going to get into a life update, or really more of like a reintroduction because it's been so long. So I'm just going to start from the top, and I'm going to be doing my hair as I'm doing that. Everybody is bringing back the braid and curl, which I haven't done in like a decade probably. But I'm going to do that today because everything comes back. So starting from the top, I guess, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I feel like my story is out there somewhere. I'm from Southern California, and I went to University of Redlands, which is a PWI, predominantly white institution. And I played basketball there, and it is also the first place I really experienced overt racism. So that was traumatizing. Yeah, I got not kicked off the basketball team, but pushed off, I would say. And that was 2 years into my schooling there. And then I randomly got an email, and long story short, I ended up being a co-founder of the first multicultural sorority on my campus, which is where I really feel like I discovered what it means to be an activist, stand up for things that are bigger than you and that you want to last like beyond your time somewhere. So I learned a lot, had a horrible time, and wouldn't change any of it. Met some really good people who are still, some of my besties today. But yeah, traumatic for sure. So then after that, I went to Howard University for grad school, which is an HBCU, historically black institution. No, historically black college or university. And had a completely opposite experience, changed my life, learned from people who look like me for the first time, with people who look like me for the first time. Never saw or met a black SLP until I got to Howard. So again, life-changing experience. Howard University changed my life and really helped me recognize how important representation is. And that's really why I started my entire platform. I think this is going to be too small. I don't want to do a bunch of braids. So after Howard, I realized how important representation is, and that's why I started my platform and really just wanted to be the representation that I needed. And so I'm so glad that it has become all it has, because I had no plans when I started it. So I'm really proud of what it is, happy that I've been able to reach as many people as I have, and I hope to just continue to make a difference in the field, even if it's just by being the representation or even inspiring other people to be representation. Have you tried Botana oil before? Apparently it's, maybe not a new thing. I don't know how long it's been around, but like it's trending right now. And I'm out of my normal oil, so I heard it's good. We'll see. So after Howard, I worked in DC public schools for 4 or 5 years. And they say if you can make it in DC public schools, you can make it anywhere. And I feel like it's true because it's not easy. There's a wide variety of kids that you can get. And the city is very litigious. So there's a lot of parents who are suing or threatening to sue, a lot of high-strung like supervisors, things like that. So it's a lot going on. And by the time I was leaving in my last year, I was in 2 different schools, which I was from the beginning. But they put me in 2 different schools that were on the opposite sides of the city with a lot of traffic. It was over an hour commute. And it was just a lot. And I've only worked through a contracting company. I've actually never worked directly with the district. So the contracting company, they kind of just place you where you need to go. That's one of the cons. And I was tired. I was tired of driving everywhere and being in the car for so long and all the high-strung parents and supervisors and teachers. So it was a lot. I was ready to go. But I wasn't really sure what was next. And I actually ended up taking a part-time position after school. It was after school because it was in Oregon. So it was teletherapy. I was covering a maternity leave. And this is the first and only time I worked for a teletherapy company, like specifically, a teletherapy contracting company. They were called .com Therapy. I actually really enjoyed them, but they weren't paying as much as I wanted to be paid. But I did like the company. I liked everybody I worked with there. Really no complaints except for the pay, which can vary obviously and will vary depending on what state you're working in. In Oregon was a chill state to work in, honestly. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kids. Not a lot of diversity, but the kids were chill. And I got to do it after work, and it wasn't bad. It just didn't pay well. But it was nice to do part-time. And once I was doing that after school for like a couple hours during the week, I finished doing those sessions and I was like, man, if this is all I was doing, like, that would be great. I would have no complaints. I wouldn't have to go into work, yada, yada, yada. So that's when I decided, okay, next school year, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try to be teletherapy full-time. And I have been ever since. And that was in 2022, full-time in 2023, I think. Something like that. I don't know. My timeline might be off. So that's when I started looking for virtual positions full-time for the next school year. And I knew I wanted to look in California because DC and California, New York and Connecticut, those are the states that are going to pay you the most. And being that I'm from California and I wanted the time difference, I was looking for jobs in California while getting licensed in California. So when you are working in one state and living in another, you have to have a license both where you live and where you work. And so I lived in DC, but I was technically working in DC and Oregon. .com therapy, I believe they reimbursed me for that license. So that's another pro of going with those companies. But I was working in DC, so I was licensed there, licensed in Oregon, moving to Georgia. So I got licensed there, and then I had to get licensed in Georgia as well. I'm sorry, not in Georgia, in California. Which is great to have licenses in multiple states because it opens up the job market. But it's a lot to maintain, and each of them costs over $100, sometimes multiple hundreds. So it's a lot to keep up, and I didn't. I only have Georgia and California now. All I did was go on, probably LinkedIn, and just search for SLP jobs, remote, and for the location, I would put California. And that's how I found every job that I've had since then. Every job since the one in Oregon has been in California. And I've worked for really small, like, private practices. I've worked for, and yeah, that's really it. Just a couple really small private practices. And then the one I work for now, they're a clinic, but they have like a few clinics in Northern California, and then they have school contracts, and I'm fulfilling one of their school contracts. I've been with them for about 3 years now. Pros and cons, but I enjoy it overall. And I recommend it. There's a lot of pros of, one, working in another state, and two, working virtually. I feel like I just can take care of myself better. I can do more with my life. I have just a better work-life balance. But a lot of pros, a lot of cons. Well, yeah, there's both. I'll make a separate video for that. So that's what I've been doing now. I still am working full-time with a charter school in Oakland through that clinic that I'm hired through, that I'm an employee of. And I also do JRC the SLP, which is apparel, social media, going to exhibit at like different conferences and conventions, consulting, speaking engagements, things like that. That keeps me relatively busy. Not as consistently as I would want it to, obviously, because I'm still working a full-time job. So there's that. And then I just opened, which I just mentioned in my last video, my private practice, which I'm excited about and has grown. I believe I'm at 4 full-time clients. I did like a package-based system, which again, we can talk about, but I have like 4 clients that are on packages of either 5 or 10 sessions. And then once those sessions are over, they'll get a progress report and decide what's next. Do we need more time, less time, another evaluation? I have 4 clients that are on the packages, a couple prospective clients. So it's growing pretty quickly, I would say, for the amount of marketing that I've done, which is almost none. When I started, I was going into preschools and offering like half price on screenings, and like I would go into the preschools, so it was convenient for parents. And I did get one evaluation from that, but one of the parents actually wanted to hire me to go into the school to provide services. And I realized that to go into childcare facilities, you need a separate background check. And so I'm in the process of doing that now, but because I've lived in 3 states in the last 5 years, I have to get a background check for each of those. So like that's probably going to be a second. I do really recommend that way of marketing though. It did give me some phone calls, and I only went to maybe 3 schools. So if I was actually able to do that more, which I plan on doing when the background check comes in, I think that will help. But I also have like, Google page, Yelp, website, social media. So there's ways of getting your name out there, but I haven't done much. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at for the amount that I've done. And I really think I'm just waiting to sprint. I'm kind of in this mode of like, am I jogging or am I sprinting? Because you can't sprint for everything. But when I get back from my wedding, which is next, I'm getting married next month, which is the next life update. Once I'm back from that, and hopefully my background check clears, not clears, obviously it's going to clear, but once it gets back, then I will be able to do more of that type of marketing, which again was working out for me. And I enjoy the early intervention vibe. So I plan on doing that. May-ish, I see having an increase, but not that I really have time, because I'm still working full time and I would like to stop doing that. That's the goal. So this summer, we're going for a sprint. We're going for a sprint with the private practice. So the next life update would be that I'm getting married. I guess even before that, because I don't think I've made a video since then, that we bought a house together and moved to Georgia together. We were long distance for over 4 years. I hated it. Got a lot of tips though. And ended up buying a house in Georgia. Now we live here, and we're getting married next month in St. Thomas. And secondary to that update, I started a lifestyle page where I plan on doing a lot more, obviously, lifestyle content and just talking about more of my personal life, sharing that side of me. And that is called Meet the Montiques. We have a YouTube page, Instagram, TikTok. Check that out if you're interested in more lifestyle content. I'm also going to be doing more like actual hair content, things like that. I am excited to get married. And honestly, I was never the girl that like dreamed of a wedding or being a wife or anything like that. And a week before I met my future husband, I said that I would never get married. And then the day I met him, I said that he was going to be my husband. So, things change. Life surprises you. And here I am, about to be married next month. Who would have thought? Not me. Until I met him. And then I knew. But yeah, check out Meet the Montiques for more of that content and wedding updates. I feel like it's going to be real cute. Real cute. You're going to want to see it. The last update will be, because tables are available for purchase next month as well, that I will be at ASHA this year. Because number one, it's in Washington, D.C. And that is the first place we had Black SLP Magic Conference, the first place we had SLP Social Scene, and it's the first place I ever had a table at ASHA. So I'm very excited to go back, because honestly, I need to make a video on that experience on its own. My first time exhibiting at ASHA was a time. And honestly, every time exhibiting at ASHA was interesting for its own reasons. But I am very excited to go back to DC. I believe this is ASHA's 100th anniversary or something like that. I don't know, like that's not my main priority. But I do know that Washington, D.C. has such an amazing population of Black SLPs that that's my target audience. That's who I want to see and interact with. So I will be there at ASHA for all of them, all of you that I want to see there. And I hope that I see most of you at the SLP Social Scene and Black SLP Magic Conference. One day, 2 events, 2 different vibes, both 2 you don't want to miss. I think they're both going to be very exciting this year. So I can't wait for that. That should be end of November. I don't know. Sometimes I switch it up, but end of the year, November, December. So hopefully I'll see you in DC. I do think that's it for the updates for now, but let me know if you have any questions about anything specific that you want me to talk about next time. And I'll come back once my hair doesn't look like this, just so you can see the final product. I'll see you soon.